afternoon. My name is Peter Kaczynski. I'd like to welcome everybody to the August 6th, 2025 meeting of the State Board of Elections. I'm joined today by Commissioners Henry Berger, Ezra Bagnola, and Tony Casale. We will start with the minutes from the February 25th, 2025 and April 29, 2025 minutes. Everybody, I believe, has a copy of those. Is there a motion to approve or any comments? Or?
So moved.
If we have a motion, do I have a second? We have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. I believe that's unanimous, and they are both adopted. We'll then go into unit updates. We'll start with Christian Zabrowski-Stravinsky and Raymond Riley, the co-executive directors. Who wants to
I'll take it.
Thank you. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. The co-executive directors work with staff throughout the agency, as well as coordinated with county boards of elections and other state agencies on several issues since our last meeting in February. The first day to hold judicial conventions is tomorrow. Filings will be posted on our website as always. First update is about a new unit and new staff. The State Board is proud to announce a new unit that has been created, Accessibility Services and Training. This unit will focus on developing, managing, and overseeing a comprehensive approach to accessibility with the electoral process. Additionally, the unit will stand up and oversee the statutorily mandated Poll Worker Training Institute. Following unit reports, commissioners will be presented with resolutions appointing the director, Helen Helmuth, and deputy director, Jennifer Manella. Helen has been a senior advocate with DRNY and is an expert in the field. Jennifer has been with the State Board since 2021, and prior to that has spent years working in higher education. We welcome them to their new positions and look forward to working with them to develop these programs. I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention that Kevin Murphy, who has been Deputy Counsel for the State Board of Elections for several years, is slated to be appointed Republican co-counsel. Kevin has been an integral part of the team here at SBOE, and we look forward to him officially taking the reins. As for other items in the agenda, later in the meeting we'll present the ballot, prop, and abstract for commissioner approval. The language was posted to our website. We received no comments. Additionally, as required by the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act of New York, the State Board of Elections, in conjunction with the data analyst, has issued all Spanish language determinations, as well as county-wide determinations for other covered languages. Additional determinations for towns, cities, and villages will be forthcoming. This year's June primary had the addition of a statewide heat wave. With temperatures in parts of the state more than 100 degrees, county boards did an outstanding job conducting this election in extreme circumstances. We, as always, thank them for their tireless efforts on behalf of the people of New York. OVR-AVR, since the May 31st, 2023 development of OVR, 562,500 New Yorkers have used the online portals. Just over 290,000 of those in New York City, and just over 271,000 of those through the State Board of Elections portal. For AVR, automatic voter registration, we continue to work with our partners at ITS to implement AVR. The clearinghouse testing for phase 1 is complete. That is in production. State agencies are currently building to connect to our API. And we expect that process to be complete around Q1 of 2026. Phase 2, which involves all paper forms, is in requirements with ITS, and we should hopefully have more concrete data on that at our next meeting. As was mentioned in the PCFB meeting, MTX continues to work with SBOE and PCFB on the integrated software solution. The first stage of that, which is an internal system for PCFB, has gone live. And so staff is now focusing on public reporting, the political calendar, as well as implementing the legislative changes from the budget, which was mentioned at the last meeting. Speaking of the budget, the governor's proposed budget, which was finalized and signed in May, provided full funding for both SBOE and PCFB. We had 2 new grants that were received, and older grants were renewed, which PIO will cover in their report. Additionally, later this month, we'll have the August conference for the Election Commissioners Association of New York State. That will be in Lake Placid. These 4-day conferences are an opportunity for both new and long-serving election commissioners and staff to interact and present on various topics. As always, the State Board will be available to answer questions, and we will present on several topics. As for our ongoing meeting cadence, we continue to meet bi-weekly with the Executive Branch, the Division of Budget, and the Division of Election Law Enforcement. We meet monthly with the Office of General Services. Co-executive directors and staff continue our monthly conference calls with the Election Commissioners Association of the State of New York. We have a meeting scheduled later this month with the EAC to do a grant review, and we met with DNV last month regarding address changes and registrations. We continue to work on training and guidance to provide county boards with resources and tools to carry out their statutory duties. Finally, my counterpart, Kristen Zabrowski-Stavisky, is scheduled to be reappointed to another 4-year term today. Kristen is a fearless advocate for both the election process as well as the county board, and I'm happy to be able to continue working with her on behalf of all the voters of New York. So that'll pass it over to her.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I will just add about the heat wave and the primary. I'm just continually overwhelmed by the boards and their ability to step up and pivot and deal with anything thrown at them. And I would thank them for all their work as well, but also our state partners, the Chamber, the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Transportation. They went above and beyond. We met together on several meetings, and they did everything from deliver water to inspectors at the polls to, you know, just they were available for anything we needed. And it is heartening to see everyone come together for democracy. And it was really great work. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Any questions from the commissioners? No? All right, then we'll move on to election operations. Amy Hild and Jude Seymour.
Thank you, Commissioner. The Election Operations Unit prepared the certification of offices to be filled at the general election, including amendments due to some retirements of Supreme Court justices. We also prepared roll calls for judicial nominating conventions, which begin tomorrow, and we're prepared to start receiving those nominations. We have continued acceptance testing of new voting equipment across the state and coordinated with compliance to collect local filer information. We've also continued holding monthly trainings with commissioners following the monthly ECA calls. For voting system vendors, HART is currently undergoing testing for a modification submission. ES&S has submitted some ECOs that were ruled de minimis, and some are with our federal testing undergoing review. They've also submitted a new application for your consideration later this meeting. Dominion has submitted 3 ECOs that were ruled de minimis and 1 that is still undergoing review, and nothing new to report for a clear ballot. For voter registration systems, we have 3 counties that are transitioning to new voter registration systems this week. And then for electronic poll books, Robus has submitted a new version that has undergone testing and is in your packet for consideration later this meeting. That includes new hardware plus support for Windows 11. Knowink has also submitted a new version that's currently undergoing testing that presents new hardware and new software, and that we are hoping to present to you next month. And nothing new for 10X and ES&S to report. Jude, do you have any?
I have nothing to add. Thank you so much.
You're all done, too? Are there any questions for either Amy or Jude? Okay, then we'll move on to the election I'm sorry, that was the election. What's this council's office now? And we have Kevin and Brian. Who wants to go? Kevin? Okay.
Thank you. We'll start with a litigation update on some outstanding cases. In Onondaga County versus the state of New York, which is the even year election change, we are not a party to that lawsuit, but obviously tracking the status of the appeal. The Fourth Department unanimously reversed the trial court ruling and upheld the statute. That has been appealed to the Court of Appeals, which has indicated the argument will be heard in the September term.
Did I see something about a federal lawsuit being filed on that issue?
I saw something about that as well. We are keeping an eye out for that.
So you haven't actually seen any?
I have not personally seen anything. Brian, have you?
I have not.
There was a reference to it in an amicus brief, as I understand it was filed, but I don't think there's been anything actually shown in public federal.
we will keep an eye on that. In Common Cause versus Kaczynski, which was the challenge to the certification of the Express Vote XL machine, the oral argument was held on the appeal in the third department at the end of May. We are still awaiting a decision from the court on that appeal. With regard to Frenzel versus Moore, which was the federal court challenge to the OTB write-in statute, this was one that has been going on for some time. The Western District granted our summary judgment motion and dismissed the case at the end of June, but an appeal has been taken to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. We have taken no position on that matter, and as we did in the lower courts, we continue to keep an eye on that as well, but that has been going for some time. And then quickly on a couple other longstanding matters, Walden versus Kaczynski was the challenge to the restriction on the Independence Party name for a mayoral race in New York City. We were awaiting a decision on a motion to dismiss, and the petition was granted leave to amend the complaint, but the time has since elapsed on that time, so we believe that that matter is effectively dismissed, but has not been formally dismissed by the court. In Williams versus State of New York, which is a challenge to the mandatory judicial retirement age through the lens of the Equal Rights Amendment, we have also taken no position, but the preliminary injunction that was sought was denied in June, and an interlocutory appeal has been filed with the Fourth Department. And then finally, on the litigation front, in Schmidt versus Kaczynski, which was the case regarding out-of-state witnesses to independent nominating petitions, the summary judgment motion was granted in that to permanently enjoin enforcement of that law back in September of 2024, but a final settlement has been reached and signed regarding the final disposition of attorney's fees, so that matter is officially closed as of this past week. Moving on from our litigation, just a note that in Brooklyn, the Attorney General and Kings County jointly worked on a fraud matter against a gentleman named Khaled Salem. He had filed petitions here seeking to run in the U.S. Senate race last spring, and his petitions were found by the board and a number of other entities to be fraudulent, so a grand jury was impaneled in Brooklyn, and Mr. Salem was indicted on the 18th on 60 felony counts, which included the petition fraud, but also a great deal of other fraudulent activity, including PPP loan fraud and other matters. So we are glad that we got the opportunity to work with both the AG's office and Kings County on that, and we'll continue to do so if called on. As was previously mentioned regarding the Voting Rights Act language assistance, we have retained a subject matter expert for that analysis and have completed statewide analysis for Spanish, as well as countywide analysis for all other languages. Guidance has been submitted to the counties in that regard. We are still in the process of requesting data from the Census Bureau, which will allow us to complete analysis for cities, towns, and villages for covered languages outside of Spanish, and we will continue to advise and assist counties with the implementation of those requirements. Similarly, with the Judicial Security Act, guidance was recently submitted to all counties regarding the processing of applications to have personal information of judges protected. We continue to work internally with IT and with both OCA and the federal courts on implementing those applications and working on a process and procedure that is a bit more streamlined than our current procedure is. On the compliance front, the total number of active filers is just under 7,300. Since the last board meeting, we have completed 4,307 reviews, registered 348 candidates and 197 committees, and terminated nearly 1,800 committee and candidate records. Almost 900 emails have been processed through the CF Info email account, providing varying levels of assistance. We have held 8 live webinars with a total of 555 attendees. We continue to monitor the 1,691 non-filers for the July periodic, and the unit continues to process and investigate dormant committees, follow up on invalid email addresses, committees on hold, and consistently addressing outstanding deficiencies. Just want to take another moment, as always, to thank our compliance unit and staff for their continued hard work. They are doing a great deal of work, and as That is all that I have, unless Brian has anything to add.
I have nothing to add, Commissioners.
Okay. Any questions for the councils? No questions. We'll move on then to NVRA, PIO, Kathleen McGrath and Jennifer Wilson.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. In addition to what was shared during the PCFE meeting about PIO functions related to them, and to report on our State Board of Election functions now, since our last unit report meeting at the February 25th meeting, we've averaged about 150 to 200 FOIL requests a month from the outside world, actually receiving 991 since that board meeting and completing 983 of them. 8 remain outstanding or in process at this time. So continue to receive those and continue to fill them.
Did I read somewhere that you got some accolades for being good at the old FOIL business?
Yes, I
That's
believe
true?
it's Readvent Albany that does an annual, analysis of a handful of state agencies, and we, continue to be, turn the lights off. Continue to be, top of the list in terms of our responsiveness and the completion of our responses. So, and, obviously Jen and I work very hard on that, but also it's in no short thanks to the GovQA platform that we switched to a couple of years back has really streamlined, being able to receive them, get the required details, the required attestations, and provide the responsive documents, which sometimes are huge files, so it helps in delivering those to the requester.
Good.
In terms of the State Board website, we've had numerous updates to the State Board website since the last meeting, including our amended certified results from the 2024 general. We did draft ABR regulations and draft ballot proposal language for public comment. We have published the 2025 election law book in its accessible and searchable format. We've had 7 HAVA determinations from council, done a number of compliance and campaign finance form updates, training schedules, updated contribution limits, as well as statements of identity received from LLCs. We've had the special election calendar for Senate District 22 that was mentioned. We did live stream the primary election ballot position drawing and then published the primary certification. As council mentioned, we have added pages of documents about language determinations under the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act. We have updated information about the June primary, both those deadlines before the election as well as the election night reporting on official results. We have the updated certification of offices to be filled this year on the site. We have added ballot request applications in multiple languages, and we had updated board meeting information for today. We participate in ongoing meetings with our accessibility vendor, and we certainly look forward to doing this alongside the newly created accessibility services and training unit. Under voter registration, we are in ongoing communications with DMV as well as other agencies to streamline how they submit voter reg forms to the boards of elections. Since the last board meeting, our NVRA coordinator, Dan Toomey, has worked to schedule trainings with both the Department of Labor and the Department of Veterans Services. In terms of county board outreach and visits, we ensured that our county boards uploaded their poll sites prior to the primary election and their voter histories after the election. We've coordinated with the county boards regarding their press interactions around the primary election, and we've worked with them to upload their general election poll sites, both for early voting and election day. Since we last sat here in February, there have been 17 visits to county boards by Dan Toomey and Dawn Barber, where they go and do NVRA visits as well as talk to them about list maintenance and grants. They're headed to 3 more counties tomorrow and are currently planning at least 5 more visits in the coming months. We consistently post and engage on the Civic Roundtable platform to communicate with our county boards and regularly provide them with FOIL response guidance. In terms of UOCAVA voters, our military voters, enhanced voting will soon be the application used by the county boards for processing those UOCAVA voters and sending them their ballots. PIO has worked alongside Election Ops, IT, and the executives to learn the new platform and work with the county boards as they are transitioning to it over the coming months. We've had weekly meetings this summer, and there will be training at the upcoming ECA conference for those county boards. A few other things, in terms of confidential voters, PIO has connected with the state's new Address Confidentiality Program ACP Director within the New York State Department of State to communicate about how confidential voters are designated and processed by boards of elections. We posted the draft language for the statewide ballot proposal for that required comment period.
Can you, I'm sorry, what's that program with the Department of State?
Yes,
What's that
so,
about?
certain voters, specifically victims of domestic violence,
Right.
can have their.
What's the Department of State have to do with it?
So they have what's called an address confidential program that work with not only those victims and other people whose addresses need to be remain confidential for a variety of reasons that go outside the board's purview. But this was a new person in that role, wanted to connect with Jen and I, meet us, explain the process of who's eligible to be confidential in New York State and how the county boards process them, how they then cast their votes.
What does it have to do with the Department of State? So
I think that's
understand
just
their role here.
I think that's the agency that houses the entire address confidentiality program for, again, not just election purposes, but for anyone else who, must be, confidential in their interactions. So that they house the office that then works with the various other agencies to ensure these people have confidential information that's not disseminated publicly. So not releasing public information requests and things like that.
No, I understand the concept, I just didn't understand this, Secretary of State's job in this little program.
Right.
I thought that was
Secretary,
ours.
yeah, the Secretary of State, well, we provide guidance.
We control this,
For
right? We're the
election,
ones
yeah.
that determine who gets to be
Yeah.
a.
For confidential
Confidential
voters and the
Yeah.
protections of that.
Right.
The ACP, basically, it assigns that individual the substitute address for mailing purposes, so they can receive mail. So I think it's more of a matter of coordinating with that other agency that provides that service to help those voters who are maintaining confidentiality in navigating the process of registering to vote, but also being able to have access to the franchise, which we
Commissioner,
control
having
completely.
come from a county board, I could see this being very helpful to have this coordination, because part of the problem was, getting the ballot to the person, making sure that that is kept totally confidential. So I think that it might be a good development.
Is this new?
I think the office this is a new person in this office, and my first, connection with the person that's serving in the role. I'm not sure if it's.
So do they get a list of our confidential voters? Is that part of
No,
the process?
no. So they're looking at it from the overview of all the ways that someone would need to stay confidential, where our focus is just on their confidential voter registration and casting ballots, as Kristen said. But, you have people that need confidentiality in other agency interactions too. So this is kind of oversight of all those agencies, but we have complete control over how confidential voting, works. As been mentioned, with the language determination, we have worked to ensure all our state board content is created and disseminated in all the required languages, both from NDRA, which includes English, Spanish, Korean, Chinese, and Bengali, and the new John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act languages, Malayalam, Tagalog, and Urdu. Pardon me. Getting to the end here, for annual reports, after much delay and some staff turnover, we are proud to have finally completed the annual reports from past years, and they have been finalized, published, and they are on our website. We are gathering all units 2024 reports. We actually have initial drafts from all except one, I believe, and we anticipate having the 2024 annual report finalized very soon, within the next month or so. In terms of public outreach, for traditional media, we responded to inquiries regarding a wide variety of state board issues in the last 6 months. A lot of campaign finance issues, designated independent nominating petition procedure questions, primary election timelines, residency requirements, coordination questions related to IE committees, primary election early voting numbers, and the new law change that's going to combine the governor and lieutenant governor candidates into a single ticket for the primary. On social media, since we last met, we've published 31 posts on all 3 of our platforms. We've increased our followers on both Facebook and Instagram and increased our impressions greatly. We are seeing a bit of sharing and reposting from other boards of elections, state agencies, and other interested parties to help disseminate that information. We included a lot of information about primary election, voter registration, and ballot request deadlines. We did some last-minute posts regarding the heat wave as that was coming at the primary. We celebrated the ADA anniversary a few weeks ago, and of course, we always disseminate board meeting information. Our email service has grown to just shy of 3,000 subscribers, and we sent out 3 blast emails since the last board meeting, all related to board meeting dates. Couple miscellaneous before giving it to Jen. Jennifer and I did make presentations to both the League of Women Voters annual meeting and the SUNY Civics convening in June regarding just the structure of the board, options for voter registration, and recent law changes related to elections and voting. And next week, we're actually talking to the SUNY's New York Voting Community Practice meeting regarding similar topics. And this is all part of the effort just to get out facts about elections and voting out there, and so folks know that boards of elections, both at state and county level, are those sources to get their election information. Now, if there are no questions for me, I will pass it over to Deputy Director Jen Wilson.
Great. Thanks, Kathleen. So as was mentioned, since our last board meeting, 2 new grant funds were made available to the counties. $5 million was made available for mail ballot related costs, including prepaid return postage for all mail ballots, and $1 million was made available for expenses related to the 2025 elections. We have set up 2 new grant funds for that. Distribution for those grants was determined based on county voter enrollment. For the 2025 election grant, we did give a base amount of $5,000 to each county to make sure even the small counties had enough money to do something with it, since it was only $1 million, so we are, of course, grateful. For the enacting legislation, the State Board sent letters to the Division of Budget, the Senate Finance, and Assembly Ways and Means leadership describing the method in which we will be administering those 3 grants. And they are, as the same as all of our other grants, reimbursements, so that the counties will have to make their expenses first and then claim after. We had sent copies of the distribution, allowable expenses, and supporting attachments to the Office of General Services so that we can set up those contracts, and those are in process right now. In addition to our new grants, all of our other grants were also extended for another fiscal year. They will now all end March 31st of 2026, and our office is sending out extensions to all of our counties. On our federal grants, those are also extended. And we also had some new grant funding made available through the Elections Assistance Commission since our last board meeting. In April, our office received notice that we would be receiving $373,000 as part of the HAVA election security allocation. This is in addition to 5 prior funding allocations from this federal fund. To date, New York State has received $49 million in HAVA federal security funding to support both our cyber and physical security in elections throughout New York State, and we have made really good use of that money. I'm sure Ben's going to talk about that in a second. The board sent a letter, budget and budget narrative to the Elections Assistance Commission requesting that that funding be released, which it was, and we will be providing the required 20% match on that. And then finally, Ray had also mentioned this, the Elections Assistance Commission is going to be coming to visit our office next week. This isn't a formal audit, but we will be sharing some of our accounting procedures and our regular administration of our 3 current HAVA grants, which are the HAVA Election Security Grant, HAVA Shoebox Grant, and HAVA Voter Education Grant. And we are looking forward to that visit because we have a lot of things to show them because some of these are very old grants. And that's all I have for grants.
Like how old?
Like 2006.
Really? No kidding. That we still haven't spent all the money on?
Well, we have very little money left in those grants.
But they have literally been around for 20 years.
And we have recently made an effort to encourage the counties to spend down those remaining funds for the HAVA grant.
Yeah, I guess maybe you should.
Yes.
Encourage them, 20 years later. Like, just give me an example of what one of those grants is for that they haven't spent their money down.
So our HAVA voter education and poll worker training grant is very specific to, of course, voter education and poll worker training. And the counties that do have funds remaining have used that for poll worker training, but with the caveat that those need to be spent in federal election years.
Okay.
So the counties have to spend them on a federal election, which can sometimes.
This is federal money.
Yes,
right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay. Any questions for either Kathleen or Jennifer? No. Okay, thank you very much. We're going to move on now to ITU, and Laura's not here, but Ben Spear has granted us with his, or graced us, I should say, with his presence too.
Thank
And he was referenced earlier, so we're expecting something about that.
Yeah, so we have,
That'll really put you on the spot.
we do have a lot to cover, since February. Obviously, ITU has assisted in the, launch of the, AVR Phase 1. Thank you to Nice Voter and the infrastructure team for their support there. And we are supporting the Phase 2 requirements. ITU also obviously assisted in the, first release of the internal public campaign finance platform. And thank you to our Capicitis and business analysis teams there. And we have been supporting the political calendar and public reporting developments mentioned earlier in the briefing. Additionally, in response to incidents targeting election offices last year, as well as findings in a report conducted by our federal partners, we have installed some security equipment here at the State Board since the last meeting. in order to improve our procurements and the security around those, especially those that are procured with those grants. We also became a member of State Ramp. This consortium of state and local governments was established to mirror a federal IT process that improves the security of technology procurements. Commercial off-the-shelf vendors go through an authorization process similar to our election technology approvals with ongoing monitoring, which allows us to ensure in advance that we're procuring secure technology and to include language in RFPs mandating compliant technologies with those security practices. Currently, the ITU team is working on initial development of for the Plateau Voting and Elections Database application, which is due in April 2026. We are in configuration of the next third of our network redesign to be completed by mid-September, which includes modernizing our connections with the county boards for access to NICE Voter. We are in the process of configuring a new phone system, as well as updating the audio-visual in all of the conference areas. And our development team has also undertaken a modernization of their development practices in the existing applications to align with the process for the new platforms that we're deploying, so that they are prepared for taking those over from the current developer. NICE Voter team has been working to support the new Uwachalla Valley system, and ITU has also launched its own roundtable along with our state partners to reach the county IT directors and provide information between us, other state partners, and the county IT directors, which now has 43 counties actively participating. And we hope to see that number grow. Turning to our Secure Election Center, the Secure Election Center team successfully completed a series of in-person awareness trainings, following up on the implementation of our updated acceptable use policy and incident response plan. We also did a similar training for the county boards, including an understanding of the ITU and SCC as part of the training series mentioned by operations earlier in the briefing. SCC has also supported the review of the system approvals that are before you today, and we are currently reviewing the latest compliance submissions by county boards submitted for Part 6220, the cybersecurity regulation, which were due this past August 1st. Counties have been diligently working with our partner NICETech over the last several months as a follow-up to last year's in-depth reassessment, and we've seen a significant increase in cybersecurity maturity and overall compliance since that engagement has begun. We are also working with NICETech to establish a Lunch and Learn webinar series for the county boards to address gaps that are common across a broad scope of counties. Now that much of the system consolidation and modernization is ongoing, complete, the FCC team is also working to establish a more proactive approach to forthcoming changes to technology, such as AI, encryption, and identity issues, to ensure the board is prepared to meet the security challenges over the coming years. We also completed our nationwide cybersecurity review, this annual survey conducted by the federal government and mandated by state policy, as well as a state survey conducted by the governor's office annually. And we continue in both of these surveys to see a maturation of our cybersecurity practices and controls. Lastly, I would not hesitate to continue on from Kristen's statements around our state partner coordination. Over the last several months, ITU and the SEC have participated in monthly sessions with our partner state agencies to improve the coordination and incident response processes that were initially established in 2018 at the founding of the Secure Election Center. These meetings have resulted in further documentation of the processes and a presentation to county IT directors as well as the local board commissioners to provide them insight into what happens behind the scenes when they report an incident, why certain actions are taken by the state, and what information is valuable to share. These coordination meetings were also incredibly effective in getting us invited to the support meetings surrounding the heat wave by the rest of the state agencies that led to the support that Kristen briefed. And with that, I conclude my briefing.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions for Ben? I'd just like to thank you. Laura always does a nice job, but you did a very nice job. Appreciate it. Thank you. Filling it. That's the end of our reports from the staff. So now we'll go on to old business. Is there any old business to come before us? Hearing none, we're going to move on to new business. Under new business, we do have some appointments to make. And the first one is an appointment of Helen Helmuth to the, as Director of this was referenced earlier, Accessibility Services and Training. I would entertain a motion to appoint Helen to the position.
So moved.
Moved, seconded. Any discussion? If none, all in favor, aye.
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 And I believe that's adopted unanimously. I'm going to take these out of order because the next one I think should be Jennifer Manello, who is being appointed as the Deputy Director of Accessibility Services and Training. I'd like to take that next. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved. Second? I hear a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I believe that's also unanimous. The next one is the appointment of Kevin Murphy as the co-counsel. And as referenced earlier, Kevin's been here for a couple of years. He's done an excellent job, and I think the promotion is certainly long overdue, and we're happy to put him up there. So any motion, is there a motion for Kevin?
So moved. So moved.
And I personally will second that. So, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 And opposed, I believe that's also unanimous. Okay, that is, then there's one more appointment, and that is to be done by the two Democratic commissioners, Henry and Esma, and I will defer to them.
I am very excited and pleased and honored to reappoint or be a part of the reappointment of Kristen Zabrowski-Savitsky, effective August 8th, and this is according to, in pursuant to Election Law 3100. She is a amazing, strong leader. I could sit here and say a ton of amazing things about her, but I'll just say a few. She is a strong leader. She is completely dedicated, and I'm extremely honored over the years just to work next to her and with her. And the past 2 years being in this, well, I guess a year and a half, not 2 years yet, but in this position, working so closely with her and seeing how dedicated she is and what she brings to every situation is a powerhouse of knowledge and experience, and not only that, a level of diplomacy that cannot be matched. So I'm honored to announce or present or reappoint co-executive director Kristen Zabrowski-Savitsky.
And I am proud to
Well,
second.
Henry has to be in agreement,
Okay.
that's all.
I am
And as
proud.
long as you two guys are in agreement, we're done here. But I just want to say, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well deserved. And I think on behalf of Tony, we also join in and, you know, the
I
action.
also want to congratulate Kristen and thank her
Okay.
for, it's been a pleasure working with Kristen. She's highly professional. She stands her ground, but she's also very fair and balanced, and she's great to work with. And I want to commend both Henry and Esmond for their good judgment.
Thank you so much, commissioners. I have to say that this job is really the honor of a lifetime. And to work with this group, this team, which obviously has gotten even stronger today with our appointments, is such a pleasure to work with our commissioners. I could not ask for a better job, and I'm a little bit emotional, but, you know, it's been a 2 years of, I faced a lot of things, and I faced it with this entire team behind me, and I so appreciate it. And I'm just so honored to work for the voters of the state of New York for another 4 years.
Great.
Thank you.
Great,
Voters
Great.
are very lucky.
great. Amen. Okay, so that ends our appointments for today. And we now have other business before us. And the first one is the certification of the ballot prop that's going before the voters this fall. We have an abstract and a form of submission. And this is related to the Olympic Sporting Complex up the Adirondacks. I guess there has to be a land swap or something to make that happen. So this amendment is intended to do that. So what this is the abstract and the form that'll go on the ballot for November. And we have to approve that. So is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a move. Seconded?
Second.
I hear a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? I believe that's unanimous as well. Okay, then we'll move on to the next one. This is about the automatic voter registration program. These are some regulations that we're adopting today. And maybe one of the staff, whoever would be appropriate, could give us a short, concise explanation of what this is about before we vote. Who would be most appropriate? Brian?
I'm happy to do that. Commissioner, thank you very much. So, the legislature provided for automatic voter registration, and as part of that process, which basically entails various state agencies, very similar to the NVRA process, providing a voter registration opportunity to voters when they're interacting with the state agencies, and then the process by which those interactions occur and that voter registration information is transmitted to the state board, which is a significant technology project that other people can talk to with greater facility than I can, but suffice to say that what these regulations do is, in many ways, they mirror regulatory requirements that are very similar to the NVRA process, and provide for certain guardrails that are, many of which are statutory, some of which are practical, for the state agencies as they interact with and provide that data to the State Board of Elections through the technology clearinghouse and through their own state agencies I'm referring to, their own application process. The board authorized publication of this draft regulation back in December, and it was subsequently published, I believe, on March 5th. And now is ripe for a final adoption. The board has received some comments from stakeholder groups. Much of the commentary that we've received has been in the vein of very specific granular elements of how the program will unfold that don't require regulatory changes to ensure that those issues are complied with. For example, a disability advocacy group is very concerned, rightly, that persons with disabilities would be able to fully utilize this system, which of course has been a design requirement for the state board from the absolute beginning. And so fundamentally, that is what the regulations do. Obviously, if there's any granular questions, we'd be happy to entertain them. But this has been out there, not new, since December 2020.
So these aren't changed from the ones we put out in December?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Are there any questions for Brian or anybody else on this topic? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt. I have a motion to adopt. Is there a second?
Aye.
There's a second. Any discussion? If not, then all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, this is adopted unanimously. And that's final adoption, right? So those are done now, right?
That's correct.
All right. So next is a resolution on certification of an ES&S voting system. These are to permit testing, as I understand it, of a new system that's been introduced by ES&S that want us to test it. And this board has to actually approve just the testing. We're not approving the system. Is that right?
Yes, Commissioner, that's correct.
So this is to approve testing of a new system from, can you describe the system at all from ES&S?
Sure.
Is it anything unique or different, or?
So the system, the new piece will be the introduction of a new AutoMark, a new ballot marking device. So the AutoMark 2 is presented in this submission. So it will be support for the equipment that was approved last time in 6301, and this is 6521. So this just adds the AutoMark 2 as part of that submission.
Okay. Okay, so if we adopt this, we will allow the staff to go ahead and pursue testing, and the testing is all paid for by ES&S. Is that still true?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay, is there any other discussion, or is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I hear a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, nay. I hear none. That is also adopted unanimously. Okay, let's see, then we are into the, Resolution 2512, which is to approve an electronic poll book system. So I'm gonna ask for we actually have a couple of those coming up, so I would ask, are these next two related? Or is this just one submission? Oh, they're both 12, I'm sorry, okay. So someone maybe should give us who would do that? Maybe you want to do that again?
Happy to.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is for the Robus, electronic poll book system, and they have,
Is Robus the company?
Robus is the company.
Okay.
5 counties currently utilize Robus, and this submission includes support for Windows 11, in addition to new software, or new hardware rather, being presented. So it's the same application, but this added support for Windows 11 and new hardware, for the actual
So
electronic.
can they function without upgrading to Windows 11?
They can, however, Windows 10 is becoming end of life in October of this year, and there will be no further security updates, so this is to ensure that they can continue.
So they really have to update
Yes.
to the 11?
Correct.
And this is to allow them to do that?
Yes, and this has undergone functional testing as well as security testing.
And we feel good about this?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions on this topic? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
And seconded, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Opposed? I hear nothing, that's unanimous as well. Our next order of business is the appointment of a couple of hearing officers. Are these new individuals, are these reappointments, or what's?
These are two new hearing officers. They both come to us, with existing.
One's from correction?
With existing hearing experience. One is coming, is a recently retired administrative law judge from the Department of Corrections. The other is currently doing, administrative hearings at the Social Security Administration.
So they have experience in administrative hearings?
Yes.
But not in elections, of course?
No, not.
Because nobody does, yeah. So, how many hearing officers do we have if we appoint these two?
If we appoint these two, we'll be up to 5.
Up to 5, okay. Okay. That's more than we've ever had, isn't it?
We had 6 at one point.
Oh, did we?
Yes.
They're falling away then.
We lost a couple, over the last couple of years to moving out of state, and then another one stepped down because their other work outside of the, part-time work as a hearing officer really picked up for them, so they withdrew as a hearing officer.
Okay. Any other questions about this? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve. A motion, second?
Second.
I heard a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hear no opposition, so that is also carried unanimously. And according to my agenda, that is the end of the agenda unless we have an executive session that I don't believe we need unless somebody wants one. Okay, and I think we're done here. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Is that fair? Is there a motion? Anything else to come before the board?
Just to mention, I think that was mentioned in the last meeting, of the proposed time for the next meeting, which is September 10th.
Well, we'll talk about that. How about that offline?
Yeah.
Okay. So, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Yes.
I heard a second. And all in favor, aye?
Aye.
That is carried unanimously. I want to thank everyone for coming, and we'll see you at the next meeting.
Thank you.